So we've done over 100 upgrades, easily over 100, probably closer to 200 or 300 upgrades. And we've come out with a specific upgrade methodology. Just as we have an implementation methodology, we have a very specific upgrade methodology. And I'll just walk through the major areas of this so you get an idea of what would be involved. We start out with a budgetary analysis. We would give you a budgetary quote just so you would know ballpark approximately how much the upgrade would be. After you say, hey, this is in my budget range, let's go and we can do a conversion analysis. And the conversion analysis would include us taking a backup of your database, looking under the hood. And from that conversion analysis, you would get a detailed proposal and project plan that really lists out the steps of the project plan, as well as all the different costs that may be involved, as well as the list of existing mods and integration with existing modifications. Because a lot of people come to us and say, hey, I know I have modifications in my system. I'm just not sure what those modifications are. So we have a tool, and this is an old view of the tool. And what that tool does is that lists out what your modifications are. So we can just run this through in a very fast manner and actually prepare a report of what your different modifications are, and then whether we want to keep them or not. Because with each modification, when you do an upgrade, this is a time where you want to shed a lot of the modifications that might not have been there. And again, a lot of people don't know what have been modified in their database. Maybe they weren't at the company at that time. Maybe somebody else was in charge, et cetera, et cetera. And then what we do with each modification is, do we want to bring that over? Is it already included in the new version so we can leave it out? What's our migration path? Do we still need it? Do we still use it? Do we want to modify it when we're doing this upgrade? And then the same with integrations with other systems. And then also one thing we want to make sure we put in there is a training plan for the new functionality. With all these versions, we have all these great new features and functions. They have to be set up, and your users need to be trained. So we want to make sure that we have that involved in the training plan as well. We convert the data. So we take a copy of your database. We upgrade it to the latest and greatest new version. We install that on your system, and then we go through, and we'll help you with training and testing on that new version. And sometimes we can do this multiple times if it's a very complex, because what occasionally on some of our more complex clients is we may want to make additional tweaks, and so we may want to run it through the conversion process again. And that leads into testing and training. And the go-live preparation, what we will do is do a practice conversion to make sure everything comes over right, to make sure all your financial reports in the new version match what they did in the old version, et cetera, et cetera. We have very specific sign-off documents that we help you prepare so that we're sure that everything comes over in the correct manner. And then we have user sign-off. So we want to make sure the users take some ownership of this and that everybody's involved. Then we finally have the go-live process. We normally do this over a weekend. We don't need to do this at the end of a year or the end of a quarter or even the end of the month anymore. The way we have these run, we just normally do it over a weekend so that we have a little buffer time, and sometimes we have to crank through a little bit of data. So we take your data normally on a Friday afternoon. We take it, we convert it over the weekend. We do some testing just to make sure everything's up and running over the weekend. And Monday morning, people come in, and they're rocking and rolling on the new system that's already been tested and they've been trained on.